Alright, we live? Hello. Hey y'all, how's it going? Oh boy. Goodness. Good. Alright, let's just have a chill stream tonight. I'm doing well, thank you. Snatter, Connor, Smogcog, William King, good to see you all. Good to see you all. Let's see, what is my... Okay, I'm not ranked 15 yet, so I've got a couple more Nighthaunt games to do. Doing great, how about... I'm doing well. I took a big nap. I ate lunch a few hours ago, though it was kind of also my dinner, but I ate a big lunch and hung out with the dog for a bit, and then I did not get a ton of sleep last night, so I finally laid down and took a bit of a nap after reading some more AoS lore. Oh, nice, Digipichu. Dude, I actually really like the new Blood Bowl sets. I'm really wanting to pick up a Lizardmen team for Blood Bowl, but I'm waiting until they release the Kroxigor model, which is taking forever, because like the Kroxigor is playable for the Lizardmen team in Blood Bowl on tabletop, but he doesn't have a model right now, which I'm kind of still just waiting on that.
Another wretched foul lizard thing joins the red host. Cursed Sotek spawn.
Let's see. Hey, Smogcog, thanks for keeping your Twitch Prime going, dude. I really appreciate it. Thank you. AoS lore is good. It can be. Sometimes it's a little weak, but for the most part it's good. I'm reading through the Auric War Clans book right now, which I've actually found pretty interesting.
Another wretched foul lizard thing joins the red host. Cursed Sotek spawn.
Because when I read through the Goblin book, the Gloomspite Gitz book, they actually talk a lot about how there's like other Goblin factions that haven't come out yet. Hey, Galen Merrick! Appreciate you keeping your sub going. Appreciate the support, brother. Thank you. Like, learning about goblins, there are 2 more Goblin factions that don't have a book yet. There's the Gitmob Grots, which are like classic goblins. So like goblins over like the plains and stuff, which are like wolf riders, wolf chariots, doom diver catapults and all that stuff. Like, it's still a faction because it gets talked about a lot. It's just not playable right now. Well, that's not true. There is a playable unit from that faction, which is the Snarlfang's Rippas, which are a Underworlds warband. And then the excuse me. There's also the Grotbag Scudlers, which the Grotbag Scudlers are they're a aerial faction, so like they're an air force of goblins. Which I'm really excited to see those guys be playable because they sound super interesting. Yeah, they're Sky Pirates. Who's the strongest goblin in Age of Sigmar? Right now, it's Skragrot the Loon King. Skragrot the Loon King is the boss. Technically, he's the boss of the Gloomspite Gitz, but he's more accurately the boss of the Moon Clan Grots, which are basically just night goblins. Skragrot the Loon King is basically just better Skarsnik. Like, he's very similar to Skarsnik in like attitude and intelligence. But the big difference between the two of them is that Skragrot does not have a giant pet squig, but he is a wizard. And he has a mushroom staff that if he hits you with it, you turn into a mushroom, which is terrifying. There are Ironjaw's Sky Pirates, which are the Skybasha clan, but I don't think they're mentioned in the modern book. Well, that's not really a different faction, though. That's just like those are just Ironjaws that are in the air, right? Like it's an actual clan as opposed to a faction. Hey, Lizardman, what's up? Also, Kiro, good to see you. By the way, if anybody has this game and wants to play, feel free to get on and we can fight each other. I've actually been able to find matches pretty reliably. This is the first time the wait's been this long. Oh no, a timeout. We'll try again, and if we can't find anybody at this moment, then I will maybe make a new deck and we can try fighting bots with one of the factions I haven't used yet. I read the newest Caradron book. I didn't see any mention of Sky Orcs. The new Caradron book has a little bit about Grotbug Scuttlers. But it's mostly just about how the Caradron are handling the Soul Wars. Do I play any 40k games or tabletop? 40k games, I have a full playthrough of the Dawn of War 1 and 2 series here up on the channel, Ice Gecko. So if you go to my YouTube channel, Loremaster of Sotek, or like youtube.com/Loremaster of Sotek. Oh, nobody's playing right now. Okay, well then let's make a new deck for my Doomseekers. I actually haven't played these guys yet. So let's take a look at our deck. I think I actually made a deck for them. I did. Let's give these guys a shot. We can fight some bots with it. The bots are actually not terrible in this game. And then after that, we can try getting some matches in. I should re-upload the Dawn of War playthrough on Game Master. Maybe. I kind of consider Dawn of War, though, to be Warhammer themed, so I don't mind it being on the Warhammer channel. But yeah, Ice Gecko, if you just look up Loremaster of Sotek Dawn of War, there's a full playthrough of me playing every single faction campaign the first game, and every single faction's campaign the second game. Like, I played the shit out of it. Did I ever pick an ROR day? Not yet. Alright, here, let's try finding some bots with this. Oh, who do I want to fight? Random. And let's do no handicap. I haven't played the... Gosh damn it, of course it's making me do a mirror match. No, I don't want to do a mirror match. Yes, concede. Anybody but a mirror match. Thank you. Okay, we're fighting Oryx. It's like, I hate mirror matches, they're dumb. Who will choose their board first? I will let... See, if I choose the board first, I get to choose where more objectives are. So I'll choose the first board. Are hobgoblins still a thing in AoS? I don't think so. I have not heard anything about hobgoblins, to be honest. I hope they add new maps soon. That's probably the one thing this game doesn't have right now that it needs, is new maps. Let's try the Mirror Well. Were there any Lizardmen that ever defied Aslan's orders or the Old One's plans? No. The Lizardmen are like 1,000 billion% do what they're told and behave. Because they're just kind of like programmed to on an instinctual level. There has never been a Lizardman traitor or Lizardman that's tried to like game the system, so to speak. Okay, so hopefully with this spread, there will be enough... Well, actually, let's put it over here. There will be enough objectives that my Fire Slayers can get to them easily. Oh, do I want to put a Lethal Hex token? Ooh. Generally, no. If you're playing most factions, but I could still see it working out for me. Let's go ahead and put it like right here. Lethal hexes are fun. Connor, so are Soul Blights like the new name for vampires? Yes. Let's see. So what kind of objective cards do I have? Score this in the 3rd end phase if none of your fighters are dead. Score this immediately if your leader kills an enemy leader. Score this immediately if a friendly fighter takes an enemy fighter out of action with a charge. Okay. That seems pretty doable. And then what do I have here? Oathsworn. Play this after attack action fails. You can attack again. The first time a friendly fighter suffers damage in the next activation, roll a dice. If I get a block, they no longer take damage. Choose a friendly fighter. Roll a defense dice. On a roll of shield or crit, heal 2 health. Wow. Okay. And then we got some upgrades. Cool. Let's keep our hand. Yeah, vampires are still referred to as vampires in universe. It's just that they're Soul Blight, like they're referred to categorically as like Soul Blight. All right, so our most tanky fighter is Fuel Grimnir, and then the rest. I mean, our faction's pretty tanky. Everybody has a shield and 3 health at minimum. But I think we want full Grimnir at like the 4 of the fighting. So let's put him here. My guys are so slow. Then let's put Mad Magrum here. And then I don't know what these guys do. I haven't played with these guys yet. I thought Slayers wouldn't be tanky. So in AoS, the thing about Slayers is that they are ultimately they're not Slayers like we think of as Slayers. The Slayers, they don't wear armor, but if you look at them, you can see they have runes, like, actually in their flesh. If you look close enough at them, you can kind of see the little gold outlines. And these runes literally give them power, like, give them the essence of Grimnir, the god of fire. So it, like, makes their bodies, like, incredibly difficult to cut, and they hit like absolute trucks. Do I want to let him go first, or do I want to go first? I think I want to go first. Yeah, I'll go first. Okay, so let's start by telling Mad Magrum to move on an objective where he gets a bonus. Do any of these guys hit for 3? Hit for 2. He hits for 3. Jesus. And he's got movement 3, so he could potentially get to me. Let's go ahead and throw down Berserk Fury. So this makes it where if he attacks me, there's a chance I won't take any damage. And he's actually he's buffing his damage right now. Here he comes. And he missed. Ah, nerd. Alright, so he just completely missed us, which is great news for us. I don't need to play that card yet. Oh, okay, so my guys do have throwing axes. Oh, maybe I should have been able to throw an axe with him, I think, actually. So, oh no, this guy doesn't have throwing axes. He has a fire steel axe and a brazier axe. But they're both only 1 range. What about Fuel Grimnir? Okay, let's have Fuel Grimnir swing at this guy. I don't think I'm gonna charge him. Oh, let's do this. We can move Vol, who can charge, at Haka, and I'll get ah, dang. Okay, so we whiffed. Do I want to re-roll it? No, I don't think so. Nope, we'll pass. I'd rather save the re-roll for when we really need it. What am I hoping for in the Beastman Lord pack? Ow. I would say the biggest thing I'm hoping for in the Beastman Lord pack is I want Tarex the Brass Bull. I want Tarex the Brass Bull leading leading the Beastmen. And I would like him to be all about here, let's see if we can get rid of this guy. Ooh, double crit! And we don't want him to move. We want him to stay right there. God, orcs have so much health. Oh, I don't like that. So we're probably about to lose Mad Magrim, but that's alright. Wait, there's a Beastman DLC? There's probably a Beastman DLC coming. It's likely Beastmen are the next DLC coming out. How fast is this guy? He's movement 3? Okay. So he's probably not going to get to me. Oh, dang. So I kind of need to... do I do what I should do, which is fulfill the objective? Or do I worry about... What happens when you level up? Let's see. I want to look at my... Where is Magrim? I kind of want to get him inspired so he's harder to kill. I don't know if it's gonna matter if he like takes a whole bunch of damage. No, let's focus on getting our objectives finished. So we're gonna move Fuel Grimnir here, and then we can attack this guy. We got a hit, and he did not get a block, so he's dead. Okay, he failed that, so we get an objective point for killing someone, and we got Furious Charge. Oh, I misread that objective card. If your enemy leader takes a fighter out of action. Oh, we got 2 things. Awesome. Okay, so we can grab Grimnir's Blessing and put it on Fuel Grimnir. And we can take Awakened Weapon and put that on Fuel Grimnir. So he's like super buff now. Do I think Warhammer 3 will get released this year? I think there's a good chance we'll get that, yeah. Okay, I don't think we're gonna have all of our fighters alive at the end of this. Let's get rid of both of those cards. I will keep Oathsworn, though. I think Warhammer 3 is absolutely going to come out during this year. But yeah, for the Beastman DLC, which will hopefully be this spring, but it might be this summer, I'm personally hoping for Tarex the Brass Bull versus... Wow, I do not like all of these objective cards that I have. They do not suit my playstyle. I am very much hoping that we are going to see Tarex the Brass Bull leading Doom Bulls and leading Doom Bulls and I'm hoping for Doom Bulls, Wargors, Jabberslights, some kind of legendary hero, I think that's about everything. Ooh, nice block. I love crit blocks. Gorgon, Jabberslythe, Wargor as a generic hero, Doombull as a generic lord, and Tuskor chariots. Really want Tuskor chariots. What's my playstyle? I prefer to usually play kind of defensive in my territory, and a lot of the cards that I have require me to like flood the enemy zone, which is dumb when I'm playing Fire Slayers, who are like super duper 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 slow. Okay, so let's move to here, and let's kill off Bone Cutter. So charge! Okay, I can reroll a single dice. So this is a hit, and this is a miss, so we'll reroll the miss. Nice! And we got 2 hits. He got 1 block, so he's dead. Boom. Nice. The Urk are falling. One at a time. Are you moving 3 since you're... Yes, okay. Oh, God, he got a double crit! Megrim, no! Okay, so Megrim's dead. That's a bummer. See, this guy's movement 2. So I could get him on Gurzag. But Gurzag could one-shot him. That's the really scary thing. So I think what we're gonna do... I think we're gonna move him over here so that if they try and chase me, I can push them maybe into this lethal hex. Dude. So something that I don't remember if I talked about on stream, but I want to talk about it here. So we got a whole bunch of reveals today about AoS, and one of the biggest ones that's like super duper freaking exciting is that they we're actually going to be getting a rematch of in AoS. We're about to have the rematch of Archon the Black versus Altharion the Grim, and I am super hyped about that. Oh, I get +1 health for holding objectives. That's cool. Okay, so he just whiffed. Nerd. So what I can do is that when my turn comes around, yep, I can sidestep Fuel Grimnir onto an objective and then upgrade him so that he's just hilariously strong. So Fuel Grimnir right now has like a shitload of upgrades. Oh, 5 health! What is this? Okay, that one we're not going to get. All fighters in enemy territory? We could possibly do that one, so we'll hang on to those 2. Am I ready for the Godzilla trailer tomorrow? You bet I'm ready for the Godzilla trailer tomorrow. Score this if all of your surviving fighters have made a charge move. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Let's see. Do I want to go first? Sure, I'll go first. I guess we could do that. And that would still let us get everybody in enemy territory. Yeah, sure, why not? So, right now, I hit for 4, so I can hit for 5. I can one-shot Gurzag. Let's freaking do it. So I'm going to move behind him, I'm going to swing with my axe, and I'm going to one-shot this bitch. Oh, nice. We got a crit. Reroll that dice. And we got a crit and a hit. He only got a crit, so kaboom! Dead orc. Okay, so let's go for +1 movement on Tefk. Alright, I'm pretty sure we won this. Yeah, Godzilla vs. King Kong. I'm super excited for that. Good lord, dude. Rolling up dice. Ow. Oh, no! He pushed me back in the neutral territory. Oh, wait. I get to play my turn. Yay! So I can move back, and then I get to counterattack. Reroll 1. And... skadoosh! Nice. Okay, so we got Annihilation. And I can play Healing Potion just in case he's got like a card. Spectral Wings. Okay, so then it's my turn. No, don't move through the lethal text or hex. There we go. Does Eltharion even stand a chance versus Archon on his new mount? I think Eltharion's rules are not super duper good, but Archon the Black is not great in melee, and Eltharion is like basically a demigod right now in the Lumineth range. Like, Eltharion is hot stuff. So I highly suspect that Eltharion is going to absolutely body Archon the Black. Like, have you seen Eltharion's new model? Like, where he's, like, made out of light? He's basically, like, a small god. Oh, wow, that's actually super good. Activated runes. Okay, I definitely want to change some stuff about my deck after this fight. I identified some weaknesses. Yeah, I think we won. We got Annihilation, Unstoppable Advance, and Denial. 16 victory points versus 6. Get crumped, orcs. Did I wipe the orc warband? I did. Fuel Grimnir literally killed all of them by himself. Okay, so I need to edit my deck, because I definitely saw some problems. I don't know. The nice thing about having the objectives where it's like, oh, if all of your guys are alive, you get a ton of points, is that if I fight somebody who just, like, runs away the entire time, it gives me some good advantages. See, Grim Promise we should absolutely be running. Which Grim Promise is just kill the enemy leader. Score this if all of your fighters are in enemy territory. That one's pretty likely. Because this one, the nice thing about this one is I don't have to have, like, at least X amount. It's just if all of your surviving fighters are in their territory. So even if I have one guy left, that's totally doable. Let's actually get rid of Fury of the Lodge and replace that with Grim Promise. Claim Retaken's a little hard. I almost wonder if I should get rid of that and replace it. 3 more upgrade cards were played. No adjacent fighters. If you score 3 more objective cards, if I own a bunch of different objectives. If you're outnumbered 3-1. That's pretty possible against certain teams. If your leader takes another enemy leader out. Kill an enemy fighter in your territory. I think I'd rather have precise use of force. None of your fighters are dead. Oh, I really don't like some of these cards I have. I wonder if these are like the automatic cards, because I do not remember having some of these. In phase, if each of your fighters... no, we want Chosen Champion. Chosen Champion's really strong. How many... Ploy Master is pretty easy to pull off. I don't think I should have... gosh, having Oath Fulfilled and Complete Victory can lead to such a wombo combo. Okay, let's try this and see if this works a little better for objectives. But I do want to look at my gambits. So I've got healing, sidestep, fueled by... Oh, we should probably run hidden paths, actually. +2 movement. Push. Trap, twist the knife. My turn is super duper strong on these guys. Play this after you upgrade a fighter that can make a move or attack action. That's a little specific. Choose a friendly fighter and push them up to 3 hexes. Oh, that's super good. Choose them and push them once. Friendly fighters cannot, holding objectives, cannot be driven back by the first, by the first attack. Eh. If the next attack is a crit, double its damage? Holy shit. That's amazing. Choose an enemy. They cannot make an attack or charge. That's amazing. The first time a friendly suffer damage, that's super good. Wow, these guys have like really awesome single cards. I kind of think Berserk Fury we could trade out for Slaying Blow. What is it the dwarfs have that make them such powerful monster killers? In fantasy or in fantasy, it's pretty much like runic power and like black powder weaponry, essentially. Feels like Hearthstone. This is nothing like Hearthstone. This is not a TCG or a CCG. This game, there is a deck building element to it, but the deck building is a fairly. It is not the entire game. It's like maybe a third of the game. I have 11 gambits. So I've got healing. I'm doubled up on healing and movement. Maybe I don't need quite that much movement. I mean, Slaying Blow is pretty conditional. That's only going to really work out if I'm rolling like a ton of dice, which right now I'm not. So maybe let's get rid of that and replace it with something like guaranteed. So, like... Can I run this and it's still legal? I can. I don't know if I should run that. There's so many... Oh my god, there's so many good cards, dude. Let's run... Actually, let's run Twist the Knife. Because almost all of my attacks are reach 1. And Twist the Knife just gives you +1 damage. Alright, let's try that. Hey, what's up, guys? See some people rolling in. Each time this fighter attacks, reroll 1 dice. That's great. During an attack action that succeeds against this fighter, I cannot be driven back, and I make this attack action against my attacker. 3 dagger for 1 damage? I don't like that. Returning axe. 3 daggers at 3 range. On a critical hit, this has +1 damage. That's great. +1 defense is good. Brute strength for Teft. Get an extra knockback. Target all adjacent enemy fighters. That's fantastic. This fighter is considered to have an additional supporting fighter while they're holding an objective. That's pretty amazing. Can only be driven back by a crit. They have +1 damage. We could do Deathly Fortitude to make him just, like, invincible. That might be a little overkill, though. Reroll attack, +1 movement. We could use another +1 movement. Like, being able to move is kind of important. Hello, game. How's it going, dude? I want to buy Nighthaunt for actual tabletop Underworlds, but I'm not sure if they'd be good in my Nighthaunt army. Smoghog, the Thorns of the Briar Queen are pretty decent in tabletop. Like regular tabletop AoS. But at the very least, they are all chain rasps, except for the Briar Queen herself. So you can just run them as part of your chain rasp horde, and like literally nobody will notice. So they actually have like really, really good use. Alright, let's try this. Man, there's so many cards now that's actually getting genuinely hard to build decks because there's like so many good options. Let's try and find another ranked deck real quick. Wait, what? Oh, okay, it's just a visual bug. What's the funniest thing to happen to you while you're playing tabletop? Oh, dude, I have a thing for that. My favorite tabletop story ever was that I was playing in a tournament. I was playing in a super duper competitive tournament. So it was part of the Texas Grandmasters League, which means that like when you're playing in a tournament, they like keep track of your stats. So they keep track of like what your army is, who you're playing, if you win, how much by. Because back in the days of Warhammer Fantasy, the way you'd calculate a win was by how many victory points you earned. So like how many victory points of the enemy you killed, and then like any objectives you accomplished, because like killing the general would give you an extra 100 points, killing the enemy battle standard bearer would give you an extra 100 points, every captured standard would give you, I think, 25 or 50. So like you could get a lot of stuff, and I was playing in this tournament, and I was playing against a Warriors of Chaos player, and at the time I was oh god, how old was I? I think I was like 16 or 15 or something, but I was a teenager, and I was playing my Lizardmen in a tournament against a Warriors of Chaos player, and the funniest goddamn thing that ever happened to me was I had a unit, so I had moved up a unit of Cold One Riders with a Scar Veteran on Cold One in the unit. And I think it was like somewhere between, I think it was like 7 Cold One Riders with a character in it. Or like 6 Cold One Riders with a character in it. But anyway, so I moved them up, and my opponent, who was very, very good at the game, but he's what I like to call a cheese player, where he doesn't have any loyalty to a faction. He just picks whatever faction is strongest at the time and builds an army, and then as soon as like the next book comes out and the next strong army comes out, he would like immediately sell his army and get whatever that one is. Which, if you do that, that's totally fine, but I'm going to judge you for it. But anyway, so he charges my Cold One Riders with a unit of Dragon Ogres. And unfortunately for me, these were Dragon Ogres with great weapons, which means that my guys, statistically, were going to get absolutely obliterated. Because if memory serves, Dragon Ogres, I think, were weapon skill 4, and Saurus Cold One Riders, I believe, are weapon skill 3. So he was hitting me on 3s on D6 dice, or on like D6s. He was hitting me on 3s, and he was wounding me on 2s, because he was strength 6, and he had an assload of attacks. So he rolls a ton of hits, he rolls a ton of wounds, and because it was... Or no, they were strength 7, I think. And because the attacks were so strong, my armor save was knocked from a 2-up to a 6-up. So, so I guess they, yeah, I think they were strength 7. So I'm sitting here. He just did like 14 wounds to my Cold One Riders. I only have 7 guys. So they're gonna like get completely wiped out. Did they stomp? No, because they were fighting cavalry. Plus, I think this was 7th edition, not 8th edition. So so he rolls 13 wounds against me. And if these guys kill my Cold One Riders, they're gonna be able to overrun into my army and just tear me up. So I go to roll my saves, right? So I'm rolling, I roll all like 14 or whatever, like a ridiculous amount of dice. I roll all 6s. All 6s. So I don't take a single wound. And then I attack back and I deal like maybe 3 or 4 wounds. But because I saved every single damage, and then I swung back and did a little bit of damage, and I had like a banner and all this stuff, his guys break and run away from combat. I roll to pursue, and I roll like I roll like a 10. So so I catch him, which if you catch a fleeing unit, they're completely destroyed. So I completely destroy this unit of Dragon Ogres, and because I overran so hard, when I measured it and moved my guys, I was on the flank of one of his stacks of 30 Warriors of Chaos. So, because that would happen during his turn, suddenly it's my turn. I declare a charge on his Warriors of Chaos, which I'm right there, so I flank charge his warriors. And the warriors get absolutely annihilated. Like, they don't get annihilated, but I do a ton of damage, and I'm in their flank, so they don't get their rank bonus. So they don't get any ranks, and because they're all, like, discombobulated, I do some damage, they break and run. And I roll to pursue, I catch them, so I wipe out this entire unit of 30 Warriors of Chaos who would have obliterated me if I fought them front to front. And when when I'm pursuing them, completely wiping them out, I overrun into the flank of his other unit of 30 Warriors of Chaos. And the same thing, just wipe them out. So over the course of 2 turns, I got like over 1,000 points worth of kills. And my opponent lost his shit. Like, this is like a 50-year-old man. He was at least in his 40s, but he was probably in his 50s. And he just started, like, he just lost it. Like, he just started cussing up a storm. And the organizer was like, whoa, like, go outside. like, chill out, dude. But it was so good, dude. Like, I have never faced a saltier opponent in my life. Like, it was beautiful. Man, I can't believe there's nobody online right now. Normally I actually have a really easy time finding a game, but I guess just Saturday nights are... But yeah, it was wild. Seriously, it's a game? Oh, Kairos. Oh, Kairos.
Joins the red host. Cursed
hey,
Celtic
Bishop of Cheddar!
spawn.
Thanks so much for keeping your sub going, dude. I really appreciate it. Dude, people that play Warhammer, I would say I probably have like a 75 to 25% ratio of 25% of people get like super fucking angry when the game turns against them. Like, they're not fun to play against. I would say 75% of the people I've played, probably less than that actually, probably more like 65, 35, or math. I'd probably say like 35% of the people I've played are not fun to play against because they get way too salty about it. Whereas like the majority of people are pretty chill. But, oh yeah, no, it totally ruined the atmosphere, I agree. I mean, it happened. It happens sometimes. Every once in a while, you'll run into somebody that's just like a total tool. But it's worth noting that, like I said, this was one of those guys who only gives a shit about winning. Like, that's all he cares about, is just winning. And, like, the instant a new book would come out that was overpowered, he would, like, just buy everything and have, like, a pro painter or a fan, or, like, a friend painter that he would pay, like, pro paint up his army so that he could just, like, try and dominate tournaments. And he would just run the cheesiest douchebag lists. So it makes total sense that he was going to absolutely lose his crap. Where am I based in the U.S.? I'm in Texas. I'm in North Texas. So the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'll get salty if you rub it in my face. Well, yeah, you shouldn't. Like, my thing is that if I try and be really polite, especially if I'm at a tournament, where it's like, I'm just trying to have fun, and I will genuinely laugh my ass off if my dice just totally betray me. Because there's nothing you can do. Like, if your opponent's dice are just really hot, or your dice just spit in your face, I mean, there's nothing you can really do about it. It's not your fault. Like, if anything, like, that's not a fun way to lose a game, but it's also, like, one of those ways where you could just be like, I got screwed. Like, you literally have done everything you could do. Apparently, going by a recent topic, this is mainly AoS, a lot of people feel various warbands. So you pick a faction, so you can play as Stormcast Eternals, Khorne with a Fleshhound, Skeleton Warriors, Iron Jaws, which are basically Black Orcs on cocaine, Ranged Stormcast, Skaven, Spooky Ghosts, Tzeentch creatures with a Tzeentch Zongor and Demons, or Fire Slayers. These are all the factions that are in the game right now, and there's more coming. And when you pick a warband, basically all of them have their own stats and abilities. And then in addition to all of their stats and abilities, you build a deck. So you have a deck that has... So these are all of your fighter cards that, like, tell you their stats and, like, what they're good at and what their abilities are. You have objective cards, which are things you're trying to accomplish in order to get victory points to win the game. You can spend victory points to grant upgrades to your guys. So you can put upgrade cards on your fighters to give them various abilities and stat increases. And there's also gambit cards, which are like abilities that you play that allow you to do something like move people around or attack out of order and stuff like that. And then there is a grid-based system. Let's actually play another bot game. Well, yeah, sure. We'll give the bot a handicap. So right now, okay, so he's telling me to pick a board. So I'm picking a board right now. So so you can see it's a grid-based system. These little symbols are deployment zones. I'm gonna go Shattered Tower. This game is super fun. It's on a small discount right now. You can pick it up for, I think, about 25 bucks. If you scroll down into the YouTube description, you'll see it there. I have a link where you can pick it up for about 25. I think it's worth the price. It's super duper fun to play. The only downside is that if people aren't online, you can't really, like, get progress because you have to play against bots. There's a ton of cosmetics in the game. There's a lot of cosmetics where you get, and the way you unlock cosmetics is by playing the game. That being said, it does have some downsides, like, in order to play with the, in order to get some of the warbands, you have to buy DLCs. They're pretty cheap. They're usually like $4, if that. Or maybe they're like $3. I don't remember how much they are off the top of my head, but they're not very expensive. But like, you know your price points, so that is something to look into. But you don't need the warbands to get, like, cards like you would in the actual tabletop. You just need the warbands if you want to play them. But you can play against them even if you don't own them. But the base game, I think, comes with 6 warbands, and then 3 of them are DLC. So the Briar Queen is DLC, the Fire Slayers are DLC. Yeah, okay. I'm actually pretty happy with these hands. Take a fighter out of action, take an objective that an enemy owns, own 3 objectives. Alright, he gets to decide who deploys first. He's allowing me to deploy first, so I'm going to start by putting... let's put Mad Magrim here. Stormcast Boy. Let's put Full Grimnir here. And then we can do Orcbane here. And Flame Boy there. Is this on console? I don't think so. I think it's Steam only. Ooh, either I can go first or he can go first. I'm gonna let him go first, so I can actually respond to what he's doing, because I want him to come to me, and he is not coming to me. Okay. So, wait, how did he get just a free upgrade there? Well, okay, whatever. I'm not worried about it. Okay, so I could go aggressive and just try and punch him in the face. I don't think I want to do that just yet. Push a friendly fighter up to 3. I could move Full Grimnir on top of him. That's a little risky, though. Hold on a second. Yes?
Are you streaming?
Yeah. Alright, so, let's see. The game should be free to play? I don't know about that. I mean, it's a good, fun game, and it's got a lot to it. I definitely think you want to buy it on discount. I wouldn't pay 30 for it, but I'd pay 25 or 20. We're kind of in a weird spot here. I think maybe we should wait one turn, and then we can kind of go all out on him. Do any of my guys have knockback on their attack? No. No. This game was on a 100% discount last year? Was it? I remember it had a significant discount, but I don't remember a 100% discount. Granted, I'm much looking forward to playing this game in person. I mean, the online game's fun, but I'm really excited to be able to play this game in person. I kind of want to... Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's use Sidestep to move Fuel Grimnir to here. And then I can charge him onto their objective. Oh, he's on guard. What a jerk. Yeah, I can take their objective. Oh no, I'm only movement 2. Damn it, I'm an idiot. Okay, well, in that case, let's just move Tefk to here. It's fine. That's actually, that works out, because we got him to waste his guard. Oh, that's right, I gave him 2 victory points. I was like, how the hell is he upgrading? And I forgot I gave him a handicap. Okay, he poked me and put me on an objective. I'm not going to complain about that. Let's do... God, I don't want to get too aggressive, because he can one-shot my guys until they have the ability to until they have a chance to upgrade. See, you've got movement 2. Okay, let's send in... Let's do this. Actually, let's use Spectral Wings. So Spectral Wings gives me +2 movement for a single move. So I can use this to get here and swing at Severin. Maybe try and force him back. Oh, we got a crit! Nice! Good hit. Boom! Oh, I can't push him. That's scary. Let me... Let's use the Earth Shakes, and I can have this guy retreat. So he has to charge to come get me. Because you can only charge once per round thing. Lore question, why did Isabella go mad? Oh, in the end times? The reason Isabella von Karstein went mad was that, oh gosh, the long story short is basically that, Nurgle, you know, the good old god of plague, basically put a demon of, a great unclean one, so one of the big nasty demons, inside of her head. So he put a demon in her soul that basically tapped into her despair and essentially forced her it greatly confused her and convinced her about a lot of things that weren't true. So basically it just fed her horrible, terrifying lies to make her basically go crazy. Let's move you to right here. I really want to lure them into these traps. Okay, so 2 of my guys will upgrade. Do you have 2 defense? No, you only have 1 defense dice. Oh my gosh. Him being on guard kind of screwed my turn, but that's okay. Yeah, I think we still have a good chance of getting these done. I'm gonna be greedy. Keep my hand. Do I like the end times? I like aspects of the end times. I don't like it like purely on its own. I like it in light of certain things. Okay, let's do this. So I can move. He's no longer on guard. So I'm going to move to here and see if I can finish off this dude. Okay, we missed. But we do have our reaction card, Oathsworn, so I can reroll my attack. Ah, come on! Ah, whiff. Just whiff for days. Alright. But I can also play Indomitable, which means I only take 1 damage if he attacks me. We gotta kill this guy. He's got so many upgrades, dude. Oh, damn. Okay, he didn't kill me. I was like, oh shit, dude. I still don't like this. Megrim, Vol. Man, we're having rough dice this game. Yeah, I guess we'll go for it with Vol. We gotta get a kill here. Yeah, there we go. Boom. All right, so we killed the leader. Let's not play an upgrade just yet. Let's wait a turn. Oh, he gets cleave on his next activation? That's not fun. Not a lot I can do about it, though. Isabella should have been a hero, not a legendary lord. Yes, I should make that video. I keep talking about it. I need to make a video out of it. Oh, God! He's got so many buffs! Okay, let's put Returning Axe on Megrim, because I can't reliably get him to where I need him to be, but I can throw axes from here. Wait, 1, 2, 3. I'd have to move for that, but I don't have to move for this. Axe throw! Yep! Nice. And then we can push her off that objective. That actually worked out. Gorst is barely a character. It's true, but at least Gorst is a DLC character. Well, not at least, but Gorst is a DLC character, so I don't feel comfortable like advocating for him to substantially change. Because if you substantially change Gorst, then you're I don't know. I just don't feel good about it, you know? I'm gonna move here and then throw another axe at her. Yup! I don't know how to play this warband. Figuring out how to play this warband is going to be weird because they're super slow. Man, I did not score any objectives, but I'm about to. At the beginning of the preceding action. Okay, let's get rid of that one. I think I'm going to get that one out of my deck. I don't see that one being easy to accomplish. Because that one, you have to get someone off of a objective and then also take it. That's pretty hard to do. What is this? This is Warhammer Underworlds. I highly encourage it, or playing it. It's a super fun game. Though, unfortunately, I'm having a hard time finding a match against a human right now, which is a shame, because playing humans is much more fun. Okay, so... Oh, gosh darn it. Phil Grimnir, why are you so slow, dude? Okay, so we're gonna have Maegrim. What are we gonna do? I really need Maegrim to take this objective, but I don't want to move him just yet. So let's just throw an axe. Oh, nice! Crit! Yep! Boom! Right in your face. Fucking dead. Wait, Undaunted. Play this... Oh, okay, so... Okay, that's fine. Let's drop Healing Potion on Fuel Grimnir. Nice! So he's gonna heal 2 health. He's sidestepping. How much damage can he do? +1 wound. Okay, cool. So I can play Great Fortitude on Field Grimnir, and that'll make him much tankier. Cool. Well, that was weird. Okay. Alright, so let's do this. We're gonna have Maegrim take this objective. Oh, he can't throw an axe from there. Damn it. Damn you, lad! I still want to take that objective because I'll get supremacy for doing so. Field Grimnir can probably kill this guy. How many? He only gets 1 block. I think what we could do is throw an axe at him and hope that does some damage, and then move in on him with Grimnir. So let's throw an axe at him. Ah, dang. Oh, and he blocked it. Great. Of course he did. Are there any stereotypes for players who maintain certain factions? Not in AoS. In Fantasy, there definitely was. Now, whether those were true or just memes is a matter of some debate. Okay, let's go here. See if I can smack this guy. Axe of Grimnir! Boom! Damn, that is a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage! Okay, I'm gonna let him swing back at me, but hopefully he will only do 3 damage to me and not 4 damage. Oh god. Oh, I blocked it! I actually did not want to block it. I actually wanted him to hurt me. Holy crap, he was able to kill my guy with that. That's such bull. Oh god, that did not go the way I wanted it to at all. Well, if I don't kill him here, I think we're boned. That actually was the worst case scenario. Right there. Alright, so we're gonna throw an axe at him, and that's gonna be the end of it. Well, let's see. If I move on to the objective, I lose. Yeah, so I have to try and kill him right here. It's the same likelihood of getting a hit. So here we go. Nope, we lost. If I had not given him the handicap, because you can give the bot a handicap to make it a more interesting opponent. And if I had not handicapped him, I would have won this game. That's okay though. Can't wait for Thundrix Profiteers. Yeah, there's a ton of warbands that I'm looking forward to them adding to this game. I was too stubborn with my objectives. I should have gotten rid of these objectives so I could have accomplished some other ones. But I do want to get rid of. Actually, no, I don't think I need to get rid of an object or a card. I need to switch out some cards. So in our gambits, I want to switch out. Where is it? I want to switch out Confusion for Sidestep. I think that'll work better. Spectral Wings, Twist the Knife, My Turn, Piercing Stare, Oathsworn, Earth Shatters, Treasure Lust. I don't think I need 2 heals. 2 heals I think is a little much. Though I guess I'm just increasing the likelihood of getting heals. But yeah, I'm going to drop Healing Potion. What to take instead, though? Could do Duel of Wits. Trust to Luck. Fueled by Fury is super good. Second Wind is you can attack twice, even if you charged. Duel of Wits is draw extra cards. Trap would let me do extra damage. And Trap's never bad. Hidden Pass is also super good. Actually, isn't there a card that lets me return someone to like a starting position? Yeah, Illusory Fighter. Ah, dang, that would make this deck illegal. Damn it. I have too many locked cards or restricted cards because there are certain cards that are so good that you're only allowed to have like a certain amount of them. Let's try. I don't really want Duel of Wits. Duel of Wits is only if you're going to run like 12 upgrades. Fueled by Fury. Push an enemy. We shall not be moved. Can't run Trap. Duel of Wits I feel like is a waste unless you're running 12 cards or you're like really specific trying to get a certain card. Could run Second Wind. Yeah, let's do Second Wind. Okay. Alright, I am once again asking for someone to hopefully be online doing matchmaking so I can fight them. Never played this before, it does not look bad. No, this game's super fun. Unfortunately, it's a little heavy reliant on a player base at the moment. Hopefully they add in a more engaging single-player system. I think these games that only have like multiplayer modes are are a little too reliant on having like an active player base, or else the game kind of lags. Because like right now we're struggling to find an opponent, which isn't the norm. Usually there's quite a few people online, but I guess tonight people are doing other stuff. I was thinking Chaos would be gone. So in Warhammer Fantasy, there's how do I say this? There is a lot that happens between the normal lore of Warhammer Fantasy and the shenanigans of AoS. I would never tell someone to determine canonicity of Warhammer Fantasy. Well, how do I say this? If you're studying Warhammer Fantasy because you want to know the world and you want to know all the rules that it follows, there are certain things you kind of have to take for granted and certain rules you have to establish. And one of the rules that I feel you have to establish to understand the world and its design is you have to remove Age of Sigmar and the End Times from the equation. Because if you assume that all of the stuff talked about in AoS and the End Times is true, then it kind of takes a big old dump on everything that came before it, and the world, or the universe, doesn't make any sense. So with that in mind, when it comes to the discussion about chaos and like what the situation was in Warhammer Fantasy, if all emotional life, so pretty much everything except like the Lizardmen and non-higher forms of life, so like if the Lizardmen went out and they wiped out all of humanity, they wiped out all the elves, they wiped out all the dwarves and the ogres and the halflings, and like they killed everybody except for like animals and themselves, then the dark gods would chaos, like the portals of chaos would still exist, but the gods would starve. The chaos gods would starve and they would die. In the End Times and AoS, they pulled some bullshit to kind of try and make Warhammer Fantasy more of a like universe-spanning thing, where the rest, all the books that came before that don't or do not play by those rules. In Warhammer Fantasy, the gods of the war, there are established rules, and one of the established rules is that the Warhammer gods require worship and followers actively worshiping them and dying for them in order to survive. They need it. So like if a god from Warhammer Fantasy is like falls out of worship and no one is like actively participating in their religion or making sacrifices to them and all that stuff, that god is going to become weaker over time and will eventually die. Or at least become so weak that they're no longer relevant. The thing about chaos that gets really finicky is that in Warhammer Fantasy, you play by the rules of that the Warhammer planet and world is the only one that really matters. If the portals, if all of thinking life or all the worshippers of chaos were to be annihilated from the Warhammer Fantasy lore, that might not kill the dark gods. It probably wouldn't. It would not kill them, but it would severely weaken them. And their grip on the reality of the Warhammer Fantasy planet would slip tremendously. And there would be a very good chance that the forces of order would be able to seal the rifts at either side of the polar gates. However, that is like nearly impossible to pull off. Now, it is worth noting that like Archaon's original plan, Archaon's original goal was to destroy the planet, because Archaon believed and was right, but he was a little wrong at the same time. Archaon believed that if you were to wipe out all of existence, that all of the gods would die. They would have nothing left, and they would starve to death. And he was correct. The problem with Archaon's plan was twofold, which the main thing was that Archaon did not realize via the End Times lore that there were apparently many other places that existed in the universe. Like there were other planets and other places where the Dark Gods were also continuing to play the great game and were fighting for lives and stuff. So while he successfully destroyed the Warhammer Fantasy universe, that was only one significant piece of a bigger puzzle. And in AoS, it's weird because AoS hasn't really addressed that very well. Because in AoS, Archaon's plan has changed a little bit. But AoS is kind of funny because AoS also tries to peddle the idea that the mortal realms are like the only thing that matters. Like they're like the ultimate important thing. But in the universes of AoS, there is definitely a lot more. There are a lot of like other planets and stuff out in the universe. But Archaon's plan in AoS has shifted somewhat, where in AoS, Archaon himself is trying to become a god so that he can kill other gods. If the Lizardmen were made to fight Chaos, that's the thing though. The Lizardmen were not made to fight Chaos. That was not their objective. The Lizardmen were made to be custodians of the Warhammer Fantasy planet. The Lizardmen are the guardians, the custodians, the stewards of Earth or the planet. They were not intended to destroy Chaos. That's what all of the other races were for, and they were experiments. So, like, the old ones created the High Elves first, or the Elves, I should say. And they were like, oh, this race will destroy Chaos. And then they realized that, oh no, they're too easily corruptible due to their extreme relationship with magic. Like, that's too much of a direct route to corruption. So then they said, okay, well, let's try the other thing. Let's make a race that's super resistant to Chaos. So they created the Dwarfs. But the problem with the Dwarfs is that the Dwarves were so immutable, they were so resistant to change, that they were prone to absurd levels of stubbornness and very insular. So the old ones kind of looked at that and across like the skies of the future, like possible future timelines, and were like, okay, the dwarves are not going to work. So like, and granted, whenever they would create these experiments, they didn't throw them away. They kept taking care of them and teaching them. But they would realize like, okay, the dwarfs aren't going to work out. So they would then said, okay, so what if we created something that was kind of like halfway? So they started working on humanity, and even certain individual old ones were working on their own races. Like some of the old ones were creating the ogre kingdoms right near the end. So one of the old ones was working on the halflings. Some of the old ones did an experiment where they created the sky titans. So, like, they were busy creating all these different races, trying to find the perfect balance of something that was able to be adaptable enough that it could adjust and make changes and, grow to fight Chaos, which is an ever-changing opponent, while at the same time making them resistant enough to corruption and manipulation that Chaos wouldn't just turn them into puppets. That's what the old ones were trying to figure out, and they were kind of like moving along that path, but in their, you could kind of say in their hubris, the old ones did not seem to consider the idea that every time they created one of these new races, they were only basically, they were like, every time they would create a new race, they were basically adding like a brand new torrent, like a tsunami of emotions and thought that was causing big ripples and waves in the realm of Chaos. and causing new ideas and creatures to take shape. And that was their mistake, was that they did not realize that. So chaos stopped being this resistant force in this other plane of existence, and it started to become kind of sentient. How is this game minus what seems to be a lack of players? I actually think it's super fun. This is probably one of my favorite games. And this is literally the first night I've gotten on in a while where I've had trouble finding opponents. Normally it's much easier for me to find opponents than this. I'm not sure what's up tonight. Like, if they're having, like, maybe if it's a connection issue or if there's just legit nobody playing. I actually kind of want to go by the subreddit and see if they just have, like, nobody playing. Because they actually, or not the subreddit, sorry, the Discord. They actually have a pretty active Discord community. Let's see if I can... Oh, here it is. Do I think 321 is the date for the Warhammer 3 announcement trailer? I think that's a reasonable theory. I don't want to put too much stock in it because delays can happen and, like, something might not be ready or they might need to push something back. So it could be that that date comes and nothing happens. But I would say that we should definitely be paying close attention when March 21st happens. Or wait. Is 321... 321 for us would be March 21st. What would it be for... I think 321 is the info dump that includes the final DLC and pre-order. AoS lore is pretty badass. Yeah, I think so. AoS lore is pretty fun. You know what? I think the best way to describe AoS lore is that it's not critical. It could just be March. Oh yeah, sorry. It could be March 2021. That's what it is. Not March 21st. Sorry. March of 2021. That's what it is. I remember my brain fizzled on that one. So yeah. So I would say in March 2021 we should be paying attention for a potential Warhammer 3 announcement. The thing about AoS lore that I think is worth noting for people is that I don't think it's as deep as Warhammer Fantasy, but it's also only been around for 5 years, so, like, give it a break. But AoS lore is very fun. I don't know, like, a good comparison, but AoS lore is kind of the penultimate version of don't think about it too much, just enjoy it for what it is. Like, I do not think you're ever gonna see, like, hardcore AoS lore channels that, like, deep dive into, like, all the nitty-gritty details to find secrets, because it's not gonna work. I do not think that's gonna work out at all for AoS. I do not think AoS was designed with that in mind, and that attempting to do that is not going to give anything back to you as a reader or as a community. I have read a ton of AoS lore over the last 2 weeks, and while it's very fun, it's also very inconsistent and shallow in a lot of ways. In that you can't think about it too hard, or else you just see holes everywhere. And there's some really silly decisions from time to time. Probably one of my least favorite. And you have to remember, the thing about AoS is that, hey, hallelujah, a Bretonnia fact, sure, give me just a sec. The other big thing is that in AoS, the writers and the designers of AoS value the ability of AoS to allow anything to be possible, as opposed to having a well-defined, consistent rule set. Like in AoS, and literally anything is possible. It is a like, there are things going on in AoS that are way more futuristic technology-wise than in 40k, which doesn't make any sense. But it's fun. Like, it's stupid fun. But I mean, there was literally an event in AoS, like a canon event, where there was literally a chrono cannon, like a time cannon, that if you shot something with it, it would cause time to be wound backwards. So, like, the forces that were of order shot like a floating moon with it, and it caused all the Seraphon and demons that had died on it to be resurrected, and they immediately started fighting again, which was stupid. It was fun, but it was stupid. But there are things in AoS where, like, sometimes there are a lot of things where, like, time doesn't matter, or like, reality doesn't matter, the laws of physics don't matter. Like, even in 40k, 40k doesn't push, like, 40k pushes it, but they don't go insanely crazy for, like, 40k tries to stick things to reality. Like, yeah, there's a lot of crazy bullshit, but they're like, okay, we're gonna try and keep it within the idea of sci-fi possibility. AoS is like, nah, fuck that shit, let's go all in. You know, yeah, it's like, you know, Gul Miraz in AoS has now been established that it is a hammer so powerful that you can walk up to one of the most corrupted Chaos champions in the setting, Torglug the Despised, bonk him on the head, and he turns into a fucking Stormcast. Which, it's like, what? Is there a book that features the Sisters of Twilight? I don't believe so. They might show up in the Orion trilogy, but I don't think they do. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, AoS, or 40k, yeah. Fantasy, I think, like, in terms of, like, insanity and craziness, is dialed up to, like, maybe, like, a good 7 or 8. 40k is dialed up to 11, and AoS, you just break the dial because you just keep, like, twisting it. Alright, I guess nobody's online today. That's a bummer. I was really looking forward to playing tonight, but there's just nobody online. Okay. So, I guess we can just talk, chat. Nothing wrong with that. We can just hang out for a bit. Here, I'll move y'all onto my main screen so I can see all your beautiful faces. Oh, fun Bretonnia fact, because someone redeemed that. A fun Bretonnia fact. Let's see off the top of my head. Ugh. Oh, here's a fun Bretonnia fact for you. Well, it's not exactly fun, but it's interesting. An interesting fact about Bretonnia is that when Bretonnian children are born, whether peasantry or noble children, you know, whatever, if a child displays magical abilities, they, by law, have to be given over to the Fae Enchantress or one of her representatives, like the damsels or prophetesses. But usually the Fae Enchantress herself collects them. And what's interesting about that, first of all, that it's kind of backwards. And it leads to some really interesting problems, because, like, nobles obviously don't want their children to vanish or be taken, so they'll, like, send them away to other countries, like the Empire, where they can go to the colleges of magic and stuff. But, when the Fae Enchantress takes these children, one of the God, my glasses are bugging me so much because they're, like, off-center. One of the interesting things is that little girls, so when girls are taken as children who display magical ability, they are always trained up to be damsels or prophetesses. So, like, the Fae Enchantress takes them and teaches them her magic and stuff. But the boys vanish. So they're never heard from ever again. And it's vaguely insinuated, like in the Wood Elf book, that some of them might be given over to the Azrae, the Wood Elves, to basically live as like servants. But many of them are likely killed, murdered, or like sacrificed in some way. But that's actually one of the larger secrets that Games Workshop never really revealed about Bretonnia, is we don't know what happens to those boys. Can I do a fact about Sigvald? Here's a fun fact about Sigvald a lot of people don't know. Sigvald's married. Sigvald has a wife. She is a absolutely horrible human being. But she also did not deserve what happened to her. Back in the day, I witnessed a former friend playing dwarfs who was getting great rolls and rubbing it in the face of my other friend playing lizardmen. Then in one turn, the game pulled a 180 in his face, and he got pissed and threw his tape measure at the lizardman player. That's awesome, dude. I would laugh so hard if like, as upsetting as it would probably be at the time, in retrospect, I would laugh my ass off if somebody threw their tape measure at me. What special character do I think is the best defensive fighter? A character who focuses purely on defense. The best defensive fighter? Probably... It's actually kind of tough. There aren't a ton of guys who focus, like, so much on defense. I would... Like, there are people that are hard to kill, but they aren't necessarily... you know who's probably the best defensive fighter? Yeah, Belegar's a pretty fair one. Belegar has a very offensive style of combat, but he himself is very tanky. Gorok is very tanky, but Gorok's not a defensive fighter. He's very aggressive. Like, Gorok doesn't fight defensively. He's just so hard to kill that he just can get away with fighting super aggressively. I would actually say the most defensive fighter in style, like in combat, and who's really good at it, is Crom the Conqueror. Crom the Conqueror was the Herald of Archaon until he got promoted to be Herald of the End Times. Crom the Conqueror was so good at defensive combat, he was able to hold off Grimgor Ironhide for, like, a long time. Like, him and Grimgor had this big duel, and Crom the Conqueror couldn't hurt him, but he could just hold him off. Like, he was just parrying constantly and just kept holding him off. So I would say Crom the Conqueror. Can I have a Skrulk fun fact? He's my original favorite Total War Warhammer 2 faction. Sure. My favorite Skrulk fact is that the reason Skrulk has no eyes, how he lost his eyes, is that Skrulk is such an over-the-top fanboy, and like Skrulk is literally like the worst K-pop fan in existence, because, like, just to the point of insanity, because Lord Skrulk is so fanatical that when he finally met Nurgle, which Nurgle is the Lord of Clan Pestilence, he's like the top dog. He's on the Council of 13. So when Lord Skrulk met Nurgle for the first time, Skrulk like looked upon him, and then Skrulk tore out his own eyes. Like, he scratched out his eyes because he wanted the sight of Nurgle to be the last thing he would ever see in this life. Like, could you imagine like someone being such a fan of like imagine someone like loves Lord of the Rings so much that they watch the extended edition of all 3 Lord of the Ring movies, and they're just like, all right, I'm done, I don't need these. So yeah, that's a fun Lord Skrulk fact. And then Skrulk took 2 big hunks of warpstone and shoved them into his eye sockets, which the warpstone mutated into his ocular nerves, and it allows Lord Skrulk to see. He has a really, really good sense of smell on top of it, but Lord Skrulk can kind of... You know how Deadpool is technically... not Deadpool. Daredevil. You know how Daredevil from Marvel is technically blind, but he can totally see? That's basically Lord Skrulk. Except for he sees through the winds of magic, not based on movement or sound. Imagine Nurgle in that situation. I think Nurgle was very impressed. I think it was actually a really clever way for Stroke to get promoted. Sounds healthy. Well, is the Fae Enchantress good or evil? What can I tell? The Fae Enchantress is complicated. She's probably one of the least fleshed out characters that needs to be fleshed out in Warhammer Fantasy. We don't know a lot about her. Here, allow me to put into... I love when my hair gets all, like, parted and then it looks like I have a bald spot. There we go. So, a good couple examples of things that we don't know for sure about the Fae Enchantress. Number one, there are conflicting reports about what race the Fae Enchantress is. And most of her Black Library stories, the Fae Enchantress is an elf. She is not human. She is actually a wood elf. She's an Azrae, who is basically appointed as a prophet or avatar of the Lady of the Lake, who is actually an elven goddess, so that kind of makes sense. And she kind of acts as, like, the main bridge between the Lady and the Bretonnians. However, in the end times, which, granted, the end times are the end times, which had a lot of errors, the Fae Enchantress was human. She was a human, and the reason we know she's human is that she actually got bit by Manfred von Karstein and corrupted into a vampire. Which was stupid. I hated that storyline. The Fae Enchantress got fucking robbed of a good story in the end times. A couple characters did, but the Fae Enchantress did not deserve her story in the end times. It was so stupid. And, like, the whole reason they made her a vampire was for a short story, which was just so dumb. But, so, like, we don't know if the Fae Enchantress is elven or human. We don't know if there's been one Fae Enchantress or many Fae Enchantresses. I actually talked about this in the Warhammer the Old World video I put out last week. We don't know if the Fae Enchantress, there's only been one, and she's been alive for thousands of years, and which would lean more towards her being an elf, or if the Fae Enchantress is a title, like a role, that's passed down. So, like, if there's a Fae Enchantress, and then when she passes away because she dies of combat or old age or whatever, if the mantle is then passed to a prophetess or, like, some acolyte of hers, we don't know. The Fae Enchantress she's very mysterious. And it's because it's a 6th edition book. In Warhammer Fantasy, Bretonnia's last book was in 6th edition, and 6th edition was very, very big on not just telling the truth. 6th edition was more like propaganda stories. So, like, instead of just saying, like, something like, the Fae Enchantress is an elf, the Fae Enchantress has been alive since X year, and the Fae Enchantress is this, they would instead be like, nobody knows, maybe she's human, maybe she's an elf, nobody knows. Like, it was very kind of, like, all over the place. Tehennin's a great example. So, like, in 6th edition, Tehennin was not immortal. Tehennin was a normal skink who became the prophet of Sotek and had, like, this big thing, but he only lived for, like, 100 years. Like, he had a normal skink lifespan, and then he died. Or he might have been slightly older than that, but he lived a fairly normal lifespan. And then he died, but there were other prophets of Sotek. So, like, the prophet of Sotek was a position or a rank, kind of, that was handed down to later spawnings. Which is why, if you read the Thanquol trilogy, if you read the Thanquol Black Library trilogy, the second book, which is called Temple of the Serpent, has a prophet of Sotek as the main antagonist. So the prophet of Sotek is, like, the main antagonist for Thanquol in that book, and he's insanely powerful, but he dies at the end of the book. And the reason they're even able to do that is because at the time that Temple of the Serpent was written, Tehennin was not immortal, which was, I believe this was during 7th edition. Tehennin was just, like, Like, he had passed on, and so there have been other prophets of Sotek. But then in 8th edition, they came out and said, no, Tehenna is immortal. So there's only one prophet of Sotek. There's only ever been one prophet of Sotek, and Tehenna has been around for 2,500 years. So that kind of stuff happens. Which doesn't... So Bretonnia in particular has a hard time with its lore because it's so old and it never got updated. And Games Workshop in 7th edition really went ham on the lore. 7th edition had some of the best lore ever. And it was so in-depth. Like, if you go buy 7th edition Warhammer Fantasy Army books, they are thick. They're softback, and they're black and white. But they are thick boys. Because they just have so much lore in them. Whereas 8th edition were hardbacks, and they were pretty big books. But a substantial amount of the books were given over... some of the lore was removed to back up the timeline a little bit, and some of the lore was also changed. Her name is... the Fae Enchantress is Morgiana. Yeah. I don't think it's Morgiana Le Fay. I think it's just Morgiana. Chips Ahoy. If the dwarves had no problems with advancing their technology, would they ever manage to surpass the Skaven? Yes. If the dwarves had no problem advancing their technology due to traditionalism, the dwarves would easily have outpaced the Skaven. Technologically wise. Because the dwarfs actually, during the War of the Beard, or the War of Vengeance, which was against the High Elves, which was quite a few years before the whole Skaven incident. Before the Skaven became a legit problem for the dwarves. During that war, a very clever dwarf engineer of Barakvar, the seaport, managed to figure out how to purify warpstone. So he figured out how to essentially make a black powder version of warpstone powder that was not corruptive. So you could use it, and it was insanely devastating, but it would not cause you to mutate or go crazy. However, some shenanigans happened with a greater demon that caused him to... it caused it to, detonate. Because it was vulnerable to the fires of a Demon of Change. And when it all detonated in it leveled, a third of Barakvar or something. The seaport got, part of it got annihilated because of that stuff. And after that incident, the dwarfs were never again. This stuff's too unreliable. Want to change to just chatting? Oh, on Twitch? Yeah, that would be smart, wouldn't it? Before I get in trouble. Is Underworlds fantasy or Age of Sigmar? It is AoS. It is Sigmar, but it's a really good game. I would encourage people to at least try it. Just chatting. There we go. Thank you for the reminder. Someone else redeemed a lore fact. Something interesting about Manfred von Karstein in fantasy or AoS that might not have been included in my lore video about him. Probably the most interesting thing about Manfred that I didn't cover in the lore video. Some of the lore videos, well, actually, most of the old lore videos I've made need to be updated at some point. But for Manfred, I'm trying to think what the most interesting thing about him is that I may not have included in that video. I don't know if I included in that video that Manfred fought Gotrek and Felix. That was a pretty interesting thing during the incident known as the Charnel Congress, which is technically not canon, but if you understand the story of Manfred, you can kind of fudge how it actually happened. Because he definitely met Gotrek and Felix. That is canon. But the events of the Charnel Conquest book are not canon. What did Skaven consider more important between clan pestil? Slash, that depends a lot. That's subjective. I don't think there's a canonical answer to that. Someone wants to know something about Valkia the Bloody. Valkia the Bloody. Here's a fun fact about Valkia the Bloody. Valkia the Bloody is technically not a demon.
Another wretched foul lizard thing joins the red host. Cursed Sotek spawn.
Hey, Rachel TGG, thanks so much for using your Twitch Prime here. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate the support. Yeah, Valkia the Bloody is actually not a demon. She's not even a demon prince. She is close to being a demon prince. The Khorne took her broken body after she died the first time and remade her into an image more pleasing to him. But she is actually not a demon. And she has oops, I didn't mean to click that. She has canonically died twice in her entire existence. So Valkia has died 2 times.
Another wretched foul lizard thing joins the red
Which
host.
the first time...
Cursed Sotek spawn.
G Van D, thanks so much for using your Twitch Prime sub here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Valkia, her first death was when she was immortal, and her goal was to fight her way to Khorne's throne and offer up the Demon Prince on her shield as an offering to him, but she died on the way there. And he got super angry about it and remade her into his own image and to something more pleasing to him and spat out what she is now. And then she died during the end times because Ludwig Schwarzhelm is a badass. Valkia the Bloody is like one of the scariest melee combatants in all of Warhammer Fantasy lore. Like, she is easily in like the top 10 when it comes to like pure skill. And Ludwig Schwarzhelm is not in the top 10. But when Valkia saw him, because he's the battle standard bearer, right? And she wanted to kill him because he's making a big scene, she dives down at him. And Ludwig Schwarzhelm, who's like a 70-year-old man by this point, sees her coming. And at the last second, he twists the banner of the Emperor so that Valkia's own momentum causes her to get impaled on the banner. Unfortunately, she impales him at the same time with her spear Sleipnir, but so they kamikaze. But that was a great scene. It was super badass. Is there any? I never hear anything about tic-tac-toe. Is there a reason? No, tic-tac-toe is a badass, dude. Tic-tac-toe is the Sky Master of Hexawaddle, which is Mazdamundi's city. Tic-tac-toe is basically their first line of defense. He's like the Scoutmaster. And tic-tac-toe gets around. During the war against Vashnar the Tormentor, when Mazdamundi was not in the city and few of the Slann, or like none of the Slann for a good while could be awoken, tic-tac-toe led the defense of Hexawaddle for like a month, where he basically was just constantly antagonizing the legions of Vashnar the Tormentor and just being like a complete asshole to them, to just delay them and kill as much of them as he could. Like, he destroyed all their hell cannons, he destroyed their Chaos Knight and Marauder Vanguard by just leading them into ambushes and pulling off a lot of really cool moves. He's a very cool character. Tic-tac-toe's great. If Nurgle's rot is so powerful, why doesn't he unleash it upon everyone and take it over the world? Key Money, thanks for the kind words, my dude. But the reason Nurgle doesn't unleash Nurgle's rot upon everybody is because while Nurgle is a god, he still has to follow certain rules. So when he unleashes a new disease into the world, it has to follow the laws of disease. So if Nurgle's rot has manifested somewhere because of like a Nurgling, Nurgle's rot is such a powerful disease that it's not very good as a disease. It it kills people too quickly. If you ever study like immunology or disease patterns and stuff like that, like when we talk about COVID-19, one of the things that makes COVID really scary is that COVID does not have a lot of obvious symptoms a lot of the time. It can take a bit to activate, and you can be asymptomatic, and it can kill you, and it's killed a lot of people, unfortunately, but it's not guaranteed to kill you. So, like, but Nurgle's Rot is the opposite. If you get Nurgle's Rot, you're gonna die. Like, you're going to die. And you're gonna die horribly, obviously, and quickly. So, because of that, it struggles to spread. It's not a very good disease, as far as, like, spreading is concerned. But it's incredibly lethal. And also, it has the horrifying fun fact that if you die to Nurgle's Rot, and you're just like a person, if you die to Nurgle's Rot, it actually will infect your actual soul. So you will become a plague bearer. So like the plague bearers of Nurgle, his tallymen, many of them are literal plague victims who died to Nurgle's Rot, and their souls were so corrupted by the agony and despair that they felt that it like transformed them into demons, which is horrifying. So it can literally be an internal disease. What about Albion? What can I tell you about it? Albion is basically it's Great Britain, right? So but like really far back in the old days. But Albion's whole the reason Albion's important is because it has a lot of Old One technology on it, particularly within the Citadel of Lead, and it featured at the core of a really big campaign where Be'lakor, the first demon prince to ever exist, basically he attempted to utilize the machinations and technology available in Albion via chaos sorcerers to basically break the prison on him and allow him to manifest physically and get back to being terrifying. It didn't work, unfortunately for him, but he made a good effort. But Albion's a pretty interesting place. It's one of those places where like it has so much ancient Old One technology that nobody understands how to use anymore. That is just kind of wild. How does Bruce Lee solve his problems mentally? Get out. Get out, Hammond! Leave! Ugh. That being said, as far as why Nurgle doesn't take over the world, Nurgle is never in a great position for total dominance. Nurgle's power is just like any disease. He waxes and wanes. As, like, contagions spread and the world becomes consumed by disease, he gets super duper, super crazy powerful, but because of the very nature of disease, it starts killing everybody, and a lot of the people who are still left are either immune or have gotten good at avoiding the disease, or have figured out a way to cure it, so it naturally starts to decline, and then he no longer... his power wanes. Are there any places in fantasy that are based on Africa? Are there any races? There are humans that live in the Southlands that are indigenous to it, that you would say are essentially like African cultures. But, I mean, technically, the Tomb Kings are an African culture, I guess, because Egypt, I believe, is technically on the African continent. The Arabians are an African type faction, even though they're more Middle East and like Arabian Nights. But there are humans that live in the jungles of the Southlands. But the Lizardmen are the primary power there. What about Lucrezia Belladonna? Is there any interesting lore about her? Not off the top of my head, Rachel. I'd have to go look that up. Are slayers always self-imposed? No. They're... Well... Becoming... Wait, yes. No one can force you to become a slayer. There is no way to force someone to be a slayer. However... you can have things done to you that will often result in you becoming a slayer because dwarves are so prideful. Yeah, the old world, it's not Earth, it's Malice, or maybe it's two L's. It's one of those. It's not Malice, it's Malice with a U. If Grimgor stole your favorite food in the world and called you a stunty, would you fight him? No. I don't like fighting. Can anyone not a dwarf become a slayer? No. The dwarfs would never tell you the oaths that you would need to swear in order to become a slayer. They would never tell you. The most dangerous dwarven profession is clearly being a barber. Actually, being a... I don't think dwarves have barbers. Maintaining one's beard is like a massive part of dwarven culture. Do dwarves have women? No. Yes, of course they have women. And it's dwarfs. Dwarfs with an F. FS. This is not Tolkien. Who do I think is the best offensive special character from fantasy? The best offensive character? Probably Scarbrand. The exiled one. He's the biggest, baddest bloodthirster. Do dwarf women have beards? Not in fantasy, no. They do not have beards. Are there half Dawi? There are no half races in Warhammer Fantasy. All of the Warhammer Fantasy races are basically crafted from unique stock by they were crafted by the old ones from like unique stock evolved up from certain primordial entities, and they are not able to. There are partners between races. There have been many creatures that have loved over racial barriers. So there have been humans that have taken partners that are elves or dwarves and stuff like that, but there's no such thing as a half-breed. They do not produce children. Are all the AoS Mortarchs demigods? Yes. Snatterino, whenever Nagash creates a Mortarch, in order to make them a Mortarch, he has to basically break off a piece of his own godly essence and puts it into them. So they are functionally demigods. What is my dislike of Tolkien? I don't dislike Tolkien. I love Tolkien stuff. It's different from fantasy, and I like to keep that line there. Tolkien's not my favorite universe. I think that there's some aspects of it that I don't enjoy. I think in Tolkien's universe, the bad guys are not very interesting a lot of the time, or when they are interesting, the only reason they lose is because to literal bullshit, like God, like the textbook definition of Deus Ex Machina. Is Neferata an AoS? Yes, Neferata is the Mortarch of Blood. So she's one of the 5 Mortarchs that are currently active, and she's one of the biggest, baddest vampires. Do Chaos Dwarves have Slayers? No, Chaos Dwarves have something called, oh god, what are they called? They're not Immortals, they're, I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. Actually, hold on, I have the book right here. The Chaos Dwarves have something that functions like Slayers, but the cool thing about them is that they are not forever shamed. Infernal Guard. The Infernal Guard. The Infernal Guard are they are functionally Slayers. So they kind of essentially take the Slayer Oath, and they have to work for the Black Tower as basically like elite guards, elite warrior guards. But once they've served long enough or well enough, they are essentially like forgiven because they'll brand like a mask onto their face or like a helm, and when their time is up, like they've paid their dues, they get to remove it, and then they may return to Zarnagrund and no longer be disgraced. So they are slayers, except for they can earn forgiveness, essentially. Because the Chaos Dwarves are very keenly aware of the fact that they cannot afford to have an actual Slayer system for population reasons. Yeah, that's another thing I don't like is Tolkien's magic system. Tolkien's magic system is so loosey-goosey, it's not even funny. There's, like, no established rules. Shit just kind of happens. Can Dawi be resurrected as undead? Anything can be resurrected as undead. Well, certain kinds of undead. So, like, anything can be made a zombie. Anything can be made a skeleton with with great ease. Making a wight out of a dwarf would be pretty hard. It's doable, but it's really, really difficult. And making anything more sophisticated... but vampires have to be human. Or halflings, technically. And maybe an ogre could become a vampire, technically. But humans are traditionally the only vampires. There has been one halfling vampire in existence, and there's never been an ogre one. How is the Empire still standing? The way the Empire is still standing is mainly cities, walls, allies. They're very big. Plus, the thing that the Empire uses that keeps them alive is variety. They have a lot of numbers. All of their soldiery are very well trained, and like know how to fight in formation. Which, when you have a bunch of guys fighting with, like, halberds and spears, thankfully, it only takes, like, 2 of you, or 3 of you at most, to kill, like, something as big and scary as an orc, or even an ogre in some cases. Especially because like, Warriors of Chaos and Marauders and stuff, because they'll just kind of run at you. Plus, they use gunpowder, guns, sophisticated technology, they use magic. Yeah, faith, steel, and gunpowder. Absolutely. And the big thing is that they're humans. They propagate very, very quickly, and they're good at adjusting. And while they do get attacked from all sides, it's worth noting that the Empire is massive. It is a very large country, and because of its size and the fact that it's split up into all those different provinces, a lot of the provinces just kind of like worry about their own crap, and worry about their own stuff. So they're busy like just fighting their own issues. So like, yes, they're being attacked from all sides, but a lot of the time, like if they're being attacked from the north, south, east, and west, none of those factions were going to help each other anyway. So they're just kind of like handling their own stuff. Have the Dwarf War airships been in any big battles? In Fantasy, yeah. The Spirit of Grugni, which is Malachi Mackeson's Thunder Barge thing, War Zeppelin, that was at the Battle of Kislev when they fought, the Battle of Prague. It was at the Battle of Prague when they fought in Beastslayer, which is a canonical battle, or siege. I wonder who the weakest Mortarch is right now. The weakest Mortarch at the moment is probably Neferata. It's probably Manfred, actually. Manfred's probably the weakest at the moment. Neferata's probably very powerful right now because Neferata is mostly a spy master. That's like her speciality, is being a spy master and handling like high society, which in the current AoS situation, that's really, really advantageous. Manfred is more of like a war general who specializes in like ambush style tactics, which is good right now, but Lady Allender is kind of like the pinnacle of terror-based combat and is kind of the vanguard lord of Nagash's forces, so Manfred's kind of in a weird spot right now. Hey, Spartan Elite, I'm super happy to hear that, dude. I'm glad you're enjoying Gotrek and Felix. It's a great series to start with. Was there Ether Gold prior to the end times? No. Ether Gold is unique to AoS. Am I happy with all the new AoS announcements? Yes, I was super happy with the new AoS announcements. I think the only thing I did not like, or I'm not going to say that. I think the only thing I was disappointed about with the new AoS announcements is that I really wanted it to reveal more the Lumineth range. They revealed a lot of stuff, but they didn't actually show any of it, except for the new Spirit Elemental of Wind. But, like, we saw, like, you could kind of see that there's some kind of Battle Standard Bearer, and we saw some kind of Sword Masters. I really want them to announce Tyrion. I really, really, really want them to announce Tyrion. And I also... I am very excited for Warhammer Quest, the new one, because it basically looks like Darkest Dungeons, but in Warhammer Fantasy. So I'm super excited about that. However, I was also really hoping we were going to get the Soulblight Gravelords announced today, which the Soulblight Gravelords we're all hoping is the new vampire faction. Hopefully they're just being announced later, because we've seen a lord for their faction. Yeah. The Wind Fox that has an 80% chance to break within a month. Pinoy Carter, I play Nighthaunt, dude. Don't talk to me about breaking models. The Wolf Fox looks easy not to break compared to my Nighthaunts. At least he's got, like, his entire wind thing is on the ground and then goes up. Like, that has a nice fat foundation compared to my Nighthaunts, which are, like, on fucking twigs. Dubious about the Fox Archer. I love the Fox Archer. I wonder what Azavar Cool is going to look like. Hopefully something super unique. Like, I want Azavar Cool to be a fully armored, super badass Chaos Warrior boy, but I hope they find a way to make him look really different from, like, Archaon and everything. I also am curious what they're going to do with him as far as, like, how he fights, because according to the lore, I believe Azavar Cool was on foot always, but I wonder if they're going to try and upgrade him to make the setting more exciting, like put him on a Chaos Dragon or something. I would totally be okay with it. Just like I would totally be okay with Magnus the Pious getting a Griffin. Does Nagash trust anyone besides Archon? No. And you're bold to think that he trusts Archon. Nagash doesn't trust anybody. Do I have a favorite AoS audiobook? Yes, Realm Slayer. Or sorry, not Realm Slayer, Blood of the Old World. Blood of the Old World made me cry, and it also made me nearly have a heart attack because I was getting so excited. But you should not listen to it until you've read all of Gotrek and Felix, the Omnibuy. So, like, until you've read all of the Omnibuy from Warhammer Fantasy, and then you have to listen to Realm Slayer, then you can listen to Blood of the Old World and genuinely enjoy all the little tidbits. If he's the Everchosen, wouldn't he ride Dorger? No. So, one thing that's important to note about the Everchosens is that when Archaon became Everchosen, Archaon was trying to fulfill a prophecy, and the prophecy stated that the one who would become Archaon would claim the 6 artifacts of the Everchosen. But you do not need those to become Everchosen. The only thing you need to become Everchosen is the Crown of Domination. Which, presumably, the Crown of Domination you probably also want, like... Well, that's really the only thing you need, actually. Legally. In the end times, Neferata, Isabella, and someone else survived or fought to the end? No. In the end times, at the very end, Neferata, Khalida, and Isabella were in the same city. Watching over survivors, but they got killed when the world exploded. Or maybe not killed, basically killed, but we've heard no signs of Khalida or Isabella since then. I love Archaon's model, but it's 800 points. Dude, Archaon's model is worth those 800 points, though. Like, Archaon is totally worth having 800 points. What would the 11th Everchosen have? Azavar Cool is the 12th. The 12th Everchosen. What will he have? I have no idea, dude. The only thing we know for sure that Azavar Kul will have is the Crown of Domination. I don't know if he's going to have a mount. I don't know if he's going to have the Armor of Morkar. He's not going to have the Eye of Shirian. There's no way he's going to have the Eye of Shirian. We know the Armor of Azavar Kul was a big deal because the Armor of Azavar Kul is like one of the main MacGuffins of the Warhammer video game Mark of Chaos. Mark of Chaos, Azavar Kul's armor is like its own unique gimmick. So, presumably he has his own unique set of armor. But I don't think he's going to have many of Archaon's things. Is there an AoS variant of Mordheim on Tabletop? Yes, it's called Warcry. Warcry is the equivalent to Mordheim. It's not the exact same thing, but it's very similar. Like, there's, like, verticality and a similar gameplay system. I wonder if Khalida and Isabella will reappear in AoS. I doubt it. Who's the fastest entity in Warhammer? Nakari. The greatest of the Keeper of Secrets. If I were to roughly guess, do I think we'll get AoS Soulblight this year? Yes. I think AoS Soulblight... I think the Soulblight Gravelords will be announced after Broken Realms Tech List comes out. I'd like to say I'd like a Warcry video game, but considering Necromunda, I don't like the Necromunda devs anymore. Like, I liked them when they were making Mordheim, but they abandoned the project way too early, despite making a really good game, and then they went and made Necromunda, which I do not think was very good. When is Broken Realm Tech List coming? I don't know. They announced it today, but we don't have a release date. Hopefully in the next month or two. Was there ever an Everchosen woman? No, not that I'm aware of. There could be. There's no reason there could not be, but I've never heard of one. Hey, Chloe. Chloe! Hey, come here. Hey, look. Hey, come here. Come say hi. Come say hi to chat. Oh, chat, you're blessed. It's a blessed stream. It's a blessed stream, because Chloe's here. Hi, big girl. What are you doing? What are you doing? That's how you know it's a blessed stream. It's not a blessed stream unless the dog shows up. What are you doing, old girl, huh? You tired? What are you doing? Huh? You just hanging out? Big girl. Alright, good night. Dog. Give me a sec, chat. I gotta close the door. There you go. Yeah, the worst thing about Chloe is that she likes to just open doors. How old is Chloe? As of next month, so in about a week, 2 weeks, Chloe is going to be 10 years old. The big 1-0. She's going to be a double-digit midget. She's getting old. She's doing great, though. She recently had a surgery to get a tumor removed from her leg, and she's been doing so good, dude. Like, she's all healed up, and we finally have been going on really good walks. Like, we're going over a mile every walk, almost daily. Well, daily we go, like, a good couple hundred yards. Not a couple hundred, but like a couple blocks. Like, we go all the way around the neighborhood. Every other day, we've been walking like about 1.5 miles. Chloe's like the Green Knight of the channel. That's funny. Do I think if there's enough requests, we'll get a Mordheim 2 or at least a remaster? I don't know, dude. I would like that. I don't even need a remaster. I just want them to go back and make more DLCs for it. Hello, Gam. Have a good night, dude. Do I see a Isabella or Khalida type person in AoS? That's kind of what Lady Allender ended up being. Lady Allender... I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't think they're... I just don't know. It's hard to predict. I could see Isabella making a return. Khalida, I think, is not going to come back. I think Khalida will be in Warhammer the Old World, but I don't think she's going to be in AoS. All right, Kiro, have a good night. Thanks so much for being here. What am I going to play when the Old World returns? Lizardmen. Does the sun revolve around... does the Earth revolve around the sun? You know what we need in AoS? Tacos. AoS does not have tacos. It's true. It's a horrible world. It's truly abysmal. How's the painting on the Sotek model coming? Oh, the Tehiniwan model? Last I heard, Palooka sent me pictures. All of it is done except for the skink crew, all of the snakes that are going to be on the base and like pouring out of it and stuff. But the Stegodon is done. The Howdah is done. The Engine of the Gods is done. And Tehiniwan is done. So I think we're still waiting on the snakes, the skink crew. I think Tehiniwan's model might need a couple of small touch-ups, and then the lava base and all the serpents. I think that's all that's left. It's pretty close to being done. The Sheriff 204. I believe they're intending to put the entire Gotrek and Felix series on Audible, but I don't know what the schedule is. Will I convert back to square bases? My goal is to have not two armies. So I'm hoping Warhammer the Old World will be on the same scale as AoS, so that I just have to I have no problem 3D printing things for my models. Like I would be happy to 3D print things for my models that will add either a circle around the edges of my square bases, or add a square around the curvature of my circle bases. But I don't want to have to buy two of every model. That's going to be fucking horrible. Is it true the next DLC for Warhammer is confirmed? No. There is no confirmations about the next Warhammer DLC. I personally think that it's Beastmen versus Lizardmen. A lot of people also think it may be Beastmen versus Dark Elves. For the most part, the community is pretty unified that it's Beastmen versus something, though. Magnetize the bases? Well, yeah, something like that. A big movement trade would work? Yeah, but, I mean, it's not going to save your single entity models. Your single entity models, you got to have the right base size. Are they revamping Tomb Kings? In Warhammer the Old World, yes. They've already, we've already gotten confirmation there will be Tomb Kings at some point. Hugh, have a good night, man. Good to see you. Do I think there's a chance for 9th edition books for Fantasy? No. I think we're going to get Warhammer the Old World, which you can call 9th edition, but it's going to be a pretty different game, I imagine. Does Lady Allender love her husband? No. Kurdos Valentian, the Craven King? No, Allender hates him, and he also hates her. That's why they're perfect for each other. I love them. Kurdos Valentian and Lady Allender are my two favorite characters in AoS, and they're fucking hysterical. They absolutely despise each other. Nagash married them to one another as part of their punishment for being, terrible people in life, and it's absolutely hilarious. Fun Tomb King Kotep fact, please. A fun fact about Kotep in the lore is that Kotep in the lore is basically Tomb King's Batman. He literally just shows up and saves the day and then vanishes without a trace. So there was an incident where Mount Arachnos erupted, and so a massive horde of spiders came spilling out into Nehekara, led by some of the largest Arachnarok spiders ever seen, trying to invade a tomb city. And they were going to get smashed, and then Kotep showed up and unleashed, a ton of giant spells on them and absolutely obliterated them, and then vanished without a trace. Because he's not supposed to be there. Katep is technically banished, but he still, like, hangs around. DJ Katep dropping those desert beats. Are the Southern Realms in AoS? Not technically, but there are human cultures that are like the Southern Realms. Technically, anything you want exists in AoS. Like, that's the whole point of AoS, is that anything is possible. How do I like the Book of Choyer YouTube channel? He does really good work. I haven't like done a deep dive about the accuracy of the lore videos, but his style is really cool. Noob Gamer, hey, thanks. I appreciate the nice words, dude. Yeah, the War of Sand and Snow is great. Yeah, Book of Choyer is a super nice guy, though. I hopefully will be doing something with him in the near future. But that's, you know, we'll see what happens. What if the time travel canon thing sent AoS races back to the old world? I don't think it can do that. However, I won't spoil what story it's in, but Panoy Carter, I will tell you that there was a realm gate in AoS that did lead back to Warhammer the Old World. Like, there was a legit realm gate, which realm gates are how you get between the different realms. They're literally like portals that can send you to different places. And there was a realm gate that literally went back to the Warhammer Fantasy world during the end times. So, like, it would allow someone to go back in time and change what happened. But I'm not going to reveal what story. I don't want to spoil what story it's in, so that's all I'm going to say about it. Any interesting lore about Elspeth von Draken? Probably the most interesting thing about her is that she is not mortal. Like, she's not really human anymore. I'm not going to get into, like, the whole, like, rant that I have on her. So, the joke, the meme on the community is that I absolutely hate Elspeth von Draken. Like, I despise her. She's my least favorite character in anything ever. Which is true, and that has not changed. She's, like, a super hardcore Mary Sue. In my opinion, but as far, like, if I'm not getting in my tirade, the most interesting thing about her is that she's not human. She has basically suffused herself with so much death magic that basically her body has been warped by it a little bit. So she's kinda like she has 1 foot in the realm of death. Like, she's basically half dead. She's got 1 foot being in the realm of the dead and 1 foot being in the realm of the living. And because of that, she's kind of like pseudo ethereal. The advantage to this is that she's actually very difficult to wound with mundane weapons. So, like, people that try and shoot her or stab her or something, it's probably not going to work. The downside is that she is very vulnerable to things that are very good against, like, spirits and demons and stuff. So, like, if a light wizard went up against Elspeth, he would absolutely obliterate her. Because the banishment aspects of the Lore of Light would work on her and would absolutely rip her in half. But yeah, hopefully that's an interesting enough fact. If I donate money, can I redeem an Empire stream with he shoot who must not be named with Mixu mods? $100. give me $100 and I'll play an Elspeth campaign. Do I think we'll get a Warhammer 3 trailer in the next few months? Not in the next few months, no. I think we'll be lucky if we get a Warhammer 3 trailer by summer. Anything interesting about Noctilus? Yeah, sure. Pretty interesting thing about Count Noctilus is that's not actually his name. Noctilus's original name is Nicholas von Karstein. He's of the von Karstein bloodline, and he had a big castle in Sylvania, and he did a bunch of research about the... oh god, what is it called? that whirlpool that he lives in that I can't remember the name of all of a sudden. Galleon's Graveyard. He did a bunch of research about the Galleon's Graveyard, figured out what it actually is, and he performed a giant ritual where he teleported his entire castle into it, and from there made a ship and took over the Galleon's Graveyard and renamed himself Count Noctilus. Which, another fun fact about Count Noctilus is that if you played Warhammer 1, I think it's still in Warhammer 2, but it was in Warhammer 1. In Warhammer 1, there was an event you can get playing as the Vampire Counts, where one of your descendants, Nicholas von Karstein, would ask you for money to fund a project he's working on, and that was actually Count Noctilus preparing to teleport his castle to become one of the Vampire Coast factions. So there's kind of a fun fact for you. It was kind of like a teaser of that faction. Are there basic citizens in AoS like in Fantasy? Yep, they're even the exact same models. You can still play with Empire spearmen and great swords and steam tanks and all that shit. And like handgunners, you can still use all of those in AoS. They are the people of the city, free cities. What happened to Aranessa in Warhammer Fantasy? She survived the events of the Dreadfleet campaign. We don't know what happened to her after that. Dr. Swaggles, did your Prime sub work? I don't see it. Unfortunately. Maybe it hasn't come in yet, but I don't see anything on my thingamajigger. Do I have the Discord? If you type in !Discord in chat, it'll pop up. I think if I did a What If series on this channel, it would be massive. Yeah, I'd like to do something like that. There's some other projects I gotta finish first, though. I gotta do the Chaos Dwarf Q&A and a couple other handful of things, and then we can mess around. Am I also on Twitch right now? Yes. So if you're wondering who the hell I'm talking to and you don't see things in chat about it, it is because I am in Discord, or it's because I'm also on Twitch. I stream on both platforms. That way people can watch whatever they want to watch. APS, sometimes you have to give it a second, but it's there now. Dude, Wiggle, that's awesome, dude. Nice, that's a good catch. Monsters Arcanum and Tarmacon are really good books. Wasn't there a named Dawi Queen that can lead armies or something like that? There have been a couple of dwarf queens. There's a Queen Helga that was moderately famous. But, like, dwarf queens are, like, scary when they want to be. They're just rare. Got any bold predictions for Broken Realm Techless? Yes. My biggest prediction for Broken Realms Techless is going to be that I think Eltharion the Grim, or Eltharion, his new form, I think Eltharion is going to duel Archon the Black, and I think he's going to kill Archon, or at least wound him. Which, granted, if you're a death character, being killed is a minor setback. But I think he's going to defeat/kill Archon the Black in a duel. And I believe that Nagash is going to be wounded. So I think Nagash, due to shenanigans involving Techless and stuff, I think Nagash is going to be wounded, which is going to result in him releasing the Soulblight Gravelords, or it's going to result in Neferata and or Manfred betraying Nagash and breaking free of his control. That's my big prediction. I'll make a video about my predictions, though. What do I think about all the lore that's coming out from Vermintide? It's great. I don't know where it's going, but it's super interesting stuff. What if I want to watch you on Steam? Too bad. Am I planning on remastering my old Warhammer lore series and Q&As? Probably.
You bring token trinket to give to Throt. Yes, yes. Good, good. I
Hey!
accept your offering for Mulder Clan.
Dr. Swaggles, I do appreciate the support, my dude. Sometimes weird shit happens. Gen7, thanks so much for the tip. I really appreciate it. Love your Total War campaign streams and the friendly atmosphere you've created. I love Warhammer even more because of your content. Well, thank you for the 25. That's really, really nice of you. That's very generous. Thank you. I very much appreciate that. Is Vermintide lore canon? Yes. It takes place in the end times, but yes. Did I see your point redemption question? Vorin. There it is. Given that Morthy has become a god, what is the process of apotheosis? Is it just that enough people you believe are a god that you become one? Kind of. It's not quite that simple. So the way Morthy became a god was through a lot of, like, MacGuffins. But basically, Morthy had to create a massive cult of people to worship her. Well, they were worshiping Cain, but Morthy has Cain's iron heart. So that's where the worship was going, and Morthy was absorbing it into herself, so she was keeping it all for her own. So she's been absorbing that for, like, the last few couple thousand years. Because the Cainite cults have been around since the Age of Myth. So, like, Morthy has been absorbing all of the worship going towards Cain. And then on top of that, she got a shitload of what's called Varanite, which Varanite is a realm stone, which realm stones are, like, insane. They're like the nuclear option in power. But the realm stones are basically, like, super crazy powerful resources, because they vary from realm to realm and, like, what their appearance is. Like, some of them are a stone or a liquid or whatever. But Varanite is the realm stone from the Varan Spire, which is the 8 points, which is, like, you have the 8 realms of AoS, and then there's a realm in the center of the 8 of them where all of them connect, called the 8 points or the all points. And the Varanite is the realm stone of that world, and it's insanely powerful. Because it's basically the realm stone of Archaon's Dimension. It's very chaosy. Like, if you just touch it, like, you literally just touch a drop of it, it causes you to, like, wildly mutate, and bad things happen to you. Morthy got, like, a metric ton of that shit. And she dumped all of it into the most powerful, what's called the Mother Cauldron, or the most powerful cauldron of blood that she had for the Cainite culture worship. So she dumped all that in there, which has mutagenic properties. Then she threw herself in there at the height of a ritual where Morthy also ripped open essentially a portal to Slaaneish's prison. And she was force-feeding Slaanesh thousands of souls. But the souls were the souls of champions of Nurgle's ancient corn, so they were making Slaanesh, like, super sick because he thinks they're absolutely disgusting. So Slaanesh was getting gorged on all this absolutely disgusting these souls. And Morthy, while empowered and being changed by all this Varanite, forced her way into Slaanesh's stomach, and while in there, she used this other MacGuffin that allows someone to, like, locate souls of extreme potency, and she used that to navigate all of the elven souls still in Slaanesh's stomach to find the Phoenix Kings. So she found all of the Phoenix Kings from Warhammer Fantasy, and one by one, she basically attacked them as, like, a snake-like creature. She attacked them and literally, like, drank their essence. So, like, she did, and then sucked out other goodies. Because she was devouring all the essence of Ashurin, who was the elf creator god and the strongest of the elven pantheon. And they all had, like, a fragment of his essence inside of them. So she eats all of the Phoenix Kings except for one. The one Phoenix King she didn't manage to eat was a Narian. Because when she came up to a Narian's soul, Morthy hesitated because Anarion was her husband, and she still loves him, at least in her kind of messed up version of love. So she hesitated, and when she hesitates, Anarion, recognizing that she's trying to kill him, literally transmutes his own soul, because he has some of Cain and some of Ashurin inside of him. He transforms himself into the Sword of Cain, the Widowmaker, from Warhammer Fantasy, and he cuts Morthy in half. And when that happened, it caused a big magical backlash that caused Slaanesh to give birth to some kind of baby thing that we don't know a lot about yet, but it's basically like new Slaanesh, though the old Slaanesh is still imprisoned, but there's now a new Slaanesh, or Slaanesh's baby, and when Morathi was cut in half, her soul split. So now there's two Morathis, and they're known as Morathi Cain. One is the Shadow Queen, and one, I think, is the Serpent Queen, or something like that. But they're both Morathi, and they both share a soul. But now she has two physical forms that are always out at the same time. And they're both her real body. So that's how you become a new god in AoS. I hope you can appreciate how complicated that entire process was. J-Dub, that's a vaguely offensive way to put it, but sure. Nimmerin, thanks so much for coming by. Have a good night. Has anyone in high ranking in Chaos ever lost favor with the Dark Gods? Yeah, it happens all the time. Plenty of, like, big boy champions, like, think they're the hottest shit since Sunday, and they act like they're the hottest shit since Sunday, and it works out great for them until it suddenly doesn't, and then they get turned into a Chaos spawn. Oh god, what's that Chaos champion's name? Damn it, what's his name? Scourgeborn? I'm trying to think of what his name is. No. It's a character. Since the Man of War game is getting canceled, do I think Total War Warhammer 3 will get naval battles? No. I think if they're going to do a naval Total War, I think if they're going to do a naval Warhammer game, it's going to be a standalone game, not a DLC. I don't remember his name. Cormac? No. Yeah, I don't know. Hold on, I can pull up something. God, what is your damn name, dude? Hold on. Pulling it up. I know where to find him. Heroes. Skyla Anfingrim. Skyla Anfingrim. There we go. If you go watch I have a playlist on my YouTube channel that's called Heroes of Legend. And if you go to the Norska Heroes of Legend video, I have all of his lore there. So, Tech, we know for AoS you collect Seraphon and Nighton. If I collected a third army, who would I choose and why? If I collected a third AoS army... Beasts of Chaos. I would do Beasts of Chaos. I love Beastmen. That being said, I don't really like where they're at right now. I'm hoping that when they get a 3rd edition book, they will get special characters. They don't have any special characters right now. And for me, a faction has to have a special character or I'm not interested. I want Beastmen to get Morgar, Throg the Troll King, and Krakenrock the Black is playable. How are Skaven and AoS? They're great. Right now, competitively, they're struggling, but they're super fun to play. Do I think the AoS Mortarch models look decent? I think the AoS Mortarch models are absolutely drop-dead gorgeous. Skateboards don't exist. Spartan, how could you? Redman, dude, Daughters of Cain have a bitchin' army now. Like, I'm super excited for their new book. I hope it comes out pretty quick. Alright, guys. I gotta go to bed. Well, I have to go exercise, actually. I haven't exercised yet. Well, I took the dog for a walk, but I have to do, like, legit exercise because I did not realize how out of shape and fat I've gotten over COVID. I know it's been about a year, but I did not realize until I got on a scale, and it's like, oh, no. Oh, no. So, I'm going to go work out and then go to bed. So, I really appreciate you all being here with me tonight. This was a lot of fun. Thanks to everyone that subbed on Twitch, and thanks to all the tips and everyone who followed and subscribed on YouTube and everything. So I hope you all have a lovely evening. Did I get the vaccine yet? Yes. I have gotten my first shot of the COVID vaccine. I get my second shot on the 7th of February. Anyway, have a good night, guys. Take care. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. I'll have more content coming out later this week. I intend to be on early tomorrow morning to play some more Horizon Zero Dawn, so I'd love to see you all there. But if I don't, I'll see you when I see you. So in any event, have a lovely night, and I'll catch you guys later.